the railway maintenance yards. Yeah, do you want to say it again?
Wait past the railway.
Skagway, Alaska.
Cleverly disguised as honest businesses, and all of them designed to con valuables from unwary gold seekers. He had agents who would direct you into one of his establishments, Canadian Mounties on his payroll, and even the favor of Skagway's most prominent business owners. Soapy Smith liked to proclaim that he was the uncrowned king of Skagway. Frank Reed wasn't quite as interesting a character. He was appointed as the town surveyor, but most knew him as the guy who tried to be Skagway's unofficial sheriff. And he and Soapy Smith did not like each other. Despite Frank's best efforts, Soapy Smith's crime spree ran unabated for almost a year, until the evening of July 8, 1998, when the townspeople finally decided that they had had enough of Soapy Smith. They held an emergency meeting down by the waterfront to decide what was to be done about him. It will be as we cross this upcoming bridge here in just a few moments.
They're all going to have water because it's like the whales yesterday with the salmon.
If you have taken any shore excursion on your cruise, then you probably already know that we're traveling through the Tongass National Forest, which is the largest temperate rainforest, at least one of in the world at 17 million square acres. It's a pretty diverse environment, home to a lot of unique species. If you pick up your own magazine and turn to page 12, you can find a flora guide, which you can use to identify some of the plant species that we'll see on our trip today. Now, a lot of folks ask us whether or not we will see any wildlife on our trip today. And while we always hope we do, I just want to let everyone know that a lot of the animals in this area find our train very loud and scary. And a lot of them are so attuned to their environment that they're able to sense the vibrations that the train generates from over a mile away. So they often are able to hear us coming. But that doesn't mean we won't see any wildlife, so please keep your eyes peeled. If you see anything, be sure to give it a shout out to the rest of your car. If I see anything, I'll be sure to announce it over the microphone. Some of the animals that are in this area include bears, porcupines, foxes, the occasional wolverine. As we climb in elevation, marmots, doll sheep, mountain goats. We will never see moose or caribou though, because this isn't the kind of environment that they prefer to hang out in. But once again, keep your eyes peeled. You never know what's out there. Here, very shortly on the left, we're going to pass a clearing in the trees, which will give us a view all the way down to the Skagway Harbor and the cruise ships that we have today. We hear a white bass, listen to view. That's coming up on the left-hand side.
Valley down there.
We are now traveling through a section of track called Rocky Point, and it was here where railroad construction encountered its first major obstacle, which was a 20,000-ton shelf of solid granite. It would eventually require 450 tons of black blasting powder to complete the grade for this entire railroad. Over half of that tonnage was used in this 1.25-mile section. Workers had to rappel down the mountainside and drill blasting holes by hand for the 250 tons of black blasting powder that was required to breach this wall of stone. To give you all an idea of how much blasting powder that is, it is roughly equivalent to 44 of our passenger coach cars filled all the way to the top.
Down there. Oh, yeah, I know, I see it. We're going over a bridge. Look at the river down there.
Yeah.
Can you see it? No? Look.
You may just spot the remains of the first attempt to build one, and a sign that marks it as Brackett's Toll Road. George Brackett was the former mayor of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and like many others during his time, he came up to Skagway after the Depression of 1893 had cost him his livelihood. Before he arrived, he was well aware that anyone who could complete a road through the White Pass would be a very rich man indeed. So we got together with some investors and set out to do just that. That he would ever experience in his life. His investors soon abandoned him, forcing him to pay for all the expenses out of his own pocket. The next sign of trouble came when he learned that the survey he'd commissioned for his road turned out to be a fraud. George was hemorrhaging money, and he appealed to everyone he knew for help, but no one would give him a loan. And he only managed to complete about 8 miles of his road before going completely broke. As you can imagine, this left him pretty desperate to recoup his losses, so even though his road was incomplete, he started charging a toll for its use. But the Stampeders had grown accustomed to using the White Pass Trail for free. Maurice Dunn and Al Janot, the two men were working in the area up ahead of us, directly underneath a massive granite overhang. A nearby blast set it loose, and it came crashing down on top of the two men, crushing them and killing them instantly. Due to the sheer size of this boulder, no effort was made to recover their bodies, so the foreman of the railroad's construction, Michael Haney, instead mark it what they saw by cross. He held a brief ceremony, and he declared that no when you see it, that's your cue. Look down below the tracks, about 50 feet. That's where you'll find that small black cross marked by some yellow flowers. It doesn't sit on the ground. It sits on the enormous boulder that crushed Maurice Dunn and Al Jeff.
There you go, big rock, big oak. This across?
Yeah, it's there, yeah.
Oh, there it was down there. Harley, I missed it. I see the water. No, you missed it. You already passed it. I see the waterfall. Yeah.
Water's cascaded nearly 6,000 feet down the mountainside before finally joining up with the Skagway River below. This point in time is coming up on the left-hand side. Now, I'm sure many of you recognize the name Bridal Veil Falls. Many waterfalls do share this name. This one is ours.
Yeah. Comes from way up top.
Coming up on our left, the trees are going to open up again several times, and if you look up at the mountainside across the valley, you might be able to make out what appears to be a road, but that is no ordinary road, nor is it the Klondike Highway. That is, in fact, a railroad. We're going to be making a 3-mile horseshoe curve through this upcoming valley in order to gain the elevation to reach that point up there, which we call the Highline section. And from down here, we'll be able to look up and see the wooden trestle bridge which spans Glacier Gorge and leads into Tunnel Mountain.
Are we going up? Are we going up? Look at that. We're going up there. Look at the thing. That's where we're going. We go down over there and come back up.
Now, while the wooden trestle bridge has been maintained over the past 120 years, both its design and the tunnel that it leads into are original to our railroad's construction in 1899. Work on both began before the tracks had even reached that point. So every day, workers who lived in a camp down below us in this valley had to hike for 2 to 3 hours, packing all their equipment themselves. When they arrived at their work site, they had to rope into the mountainside and then chisel out a ledge upon which to stand. 4 steam-powered drills operated day and night for 3 months in order to clear out this tunnel. And all this work took place in the dead of winter. Conditions were so extreme, in fact, that it once took them over 8 hours to raise a single bridge timber.
Glacier 14 mile. There's the bridge.
some of these mountains in view, I can tell you quite honestly that more often than not, they should be completely obscured by clouds. The jagged peaks high above us over your left-hand shoulder, just kind of emerging from the clouds, belong to the Sawtooths, and towering over 7,000 feet. They are the tallest mountains that we're able to see from our train. They should be in view for a while though, so you don't have to rush to get a photo of them. After you've gone one though, I want to direct your attention ahead of us, approximately 10 or 11 o'clock. And the snowy mountains that are furthest from our train across the valley. If you look up just below the cloud line at a large blanket of snow, you should be able to make out some blue fissures. That is the Carmen Glacier, which is the glacier that feeds Bridal Veil Falls.
See the glacier up there. See it? Look at that. That's wild.
Sorry, it's on the little Sasquatch, and there it was big armadillo. Look at his face.
They're high.
See the glacier up there, and you talk it out. He said that's what feeds into the Veil Spring. The Clara Veil Spring.
That's a beautiful.
If you don't already, you may want to have your cameras handy because our train is about to take us over the Wooden Trestle Bridge. So we'll have a pretty substantial drop-off on our left-hand side, as well as a view of the train as it curves along this upcoming bridge and takes us into our first tunnel of the day. This tunnel runs about 250 feet in length, and we'll experience a good 10 to 15 seconds of total darkness while we travel through it. So if you're up and about, just make sure that you're hanging on. But at this point here, we're about 1,000 feet above the valley floor.
Wow.
So if anybody has any issues with heights, there will be a lovely calming waterfall on the right-hand side.
Here it is here. We're coming across it now. Look down. Jackie, look down. Oh, look, you can see the train. There's the cliff.
This is what everybody told me.
Into the tunnel. Yeah, oh wow. That's crazy.
Water in the distance. If the cruise ship that we're about to see come into view doesn't already give it away, that is in fact the Skagway Harbor. That is not a mountain lake. We're looking down on it now from a range of about 10 miles at an elevation of over 2,300 feet. It is this view right here that gives Milepost 17 its name, Inspiration Point. Completed in the winter of 1901. It was the largest rail bridge you're probably going to notice that it looks to be in pretty rough shape, and that a lot of the wooden supports have rotted out. Don't worry, we're not going to be crossing this bridge this afternoon, I promise. It was retired in 1969. Its engineers could never have predicted how locomotive technology would change over the years. Diesel-electric engines are much heavier than steam locomotives. When they took the new diesel-electric engines over this bridge with their heavy ore trains, it was reported that it swayed ominously from side to side. So they realized they needed a new bridge. They retired this one, and we're going to take the bridge which replaced it. It's just ahead of us on the left. From it, we'll have an excellent view of the steel cantilever before it takes us into our second longest line today. This one runs 670 feet in length. So once again, if you're up and about, be prepared for about 30 to 40 seconds of total darkness.
Here's the bridge we go up right here. We go across this one here. Then we go into a cave. Yeah. We go into another tunnel, yeah. 30 to 40 seconds of darkness. There, see? See, this is a solid steel bridge. Down below.
Yeah.
Look over there. Look over there. Oh, is that nice? On this side too, Jackie. Jackie, look over here. Look down there.
Yeah, I have to tell you, Rob's right on that.
Another tunnel. Here, there's two tunnels. Bit of snow. I see.
Looking sharply down to our left, you may start to notice a narrow mossy ledge winding its way along the granite. And a sign that marks a portion of it as Trail 98, which was a nickname for the White Pass Trail. What we're seeing is its last surviving portion. It's still visible to this day, even after over a century. It hasn't been hiked since the gold rush, so what we can make out here is the result of thousands of hopeful gold seekers tamping down a path through this trench and scarring the landscape, leaving their mark on history. You may spot the occasional tool or shovelhead scattered along its length. These two are artifacts left behind by its stampeders. You'll notice that this path isn't very wide, but this is the kind of trail that they were taking through the mountains. And throughout its entirety,
See
it
the
was
path
full
here?
of two-way traffic with loaded pack animals.
Right there.
Now
That's
we
it.
know why they were headed north. They were trying to reach the Skagway gold fields. So why on earth were they also headed south along this very same path? And the reason is because the Canadian government feared a nationwide famine if hundreds of thousands of inexperienced gold seekers attempted to gain access to their country without the necessary supplies. So the Canadian government required each and every one of them to bring an entire year's worth, which amounted to about 2,000 pounds of food and equipment. Whether they chose the Chill Food Trail or
There's water right beside us, right at the railway. Right down here.
I see, yeah.
back and forth, working in teams, transporting their 1 ton of goods piece by piece to the border before finally being allowed access into Canada.